Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. The 222 is today's episode, but you may or may not realize what today signifies. Sure, it's another episode. Sure, it's 222. Sure, it's 222. Grand scheme of things, you're like, it's nothing, right? It's just another episode. And it could be just another episode. But it's more than that. What you may or may not realize, today is our birthday. The 4th year anniversary. We are rolling into year 5 of the show. Not because of me, not because of my mom, not because of my wife or my dogs, because of you, the listener, because of you amazing people, your feedback, your comments, your listenership. The fact that I sit here in front of multiple computer screens behind a microphone and record, and I'm looking at Lego, and I'm looking at computer screens, I'm looking at voice modulation type stuff. And I feel many times like I'm talking to myself as an 8-year-old inside of myself. And at the end of the day, you are out there. You are out there. And you've been there. And you continue to be there. I have met some amazing people through Lego, through the podcast, through shows, along with the podcast. I can't even begin to unravel where this journey has come from February 9th, 2018 until now. We are at the precipice of, let me step back a second here. Most podcasts don't last on average, more than 8 to 9 months. On average. And we're talking bi-weekly shows. Now, I've had my moments where I've either been sick or internet is crapped out or AT&T screwed up. It happens. It absolutely does. Life happens. But I've been here. And it may be episode 222, but we've done breaking news. We've done the news on a Tuesday, which I love to implement because it's another avenue to bring things in and talk about other than just sets. We've done many designer interviews. We've done other things as well. We've done live shows. My point is this. There are more than 222 episodes. Full stop. But you know what? Without you, right now, the person hearing me, whether in your car, in your headphones, playing it on your phone while your kids are screaming in the background, you're like, be quiet. Either way, I appreciate you being here. And whether you started from day one with the terrible audio I'm about to share with you, or you've been here and you started last week or yesterday, which I had a few that started yesterday. I am glad that you are here. I appreciate every single one of you. And I would run through a brick wall, through good times and bad, for every single one of you. You mean that much to me. I'm not saying that. Some of you are going to be like, oh, well, he's corporate now. He's partnered with iHeartMedia. No. My show will always be my show. Ads are a part of the project, a part of the program. They're a part of life in the industry. Those of you that may have been on podcasts or know anything about other podcasts know that ads happen. Okay. If it were my way, I would absolutely do away with all of it. But being partnered with iHeart, that is part of it. And here's what I want to say about that. Some of you may be saying, ads suck. We're sick of them. We don't want to deal with them anymore. We don't want to listen to them. You can always fast forward. Or you can bear it. You can grin and bear it. And here's why. You, ma'am, sir, grandma, grandpa, Aunt Judy, Uncle Bob, whoever you are, you right now are one of the people that have created this mass audience, this giant uptick, this giant listenership that is you, the listeners. I wouldn't just do a podcast. I probably would do a podcast just talking to myself, and I would probably answer myself, but it wouldn't be like this. But I'm just nutty, okay? But my point is, without you guys, iHeart would have never came and found me and said, we want to partner with you. without you. I could sit here behind the microphone all day. I could sit here 12 hours a day. Without you, I have nothing. I have nothing. And I started with nothing. And I was literally a dude with a laptop, a really crappy laptop computer, and a square microphone, believe it or not, that you just plug in. And I was literally leaning over the top of it, over a desk, speaking into it like you were on a conference call in a conference room. You know, those weird ones that have the three legs, you know, you're speaking into it and, you know, people are yelling out of it or they're talking loudly out of it. So you feel like you have to get closer to it so that they can hear you, even though they can hear you. They're just kind of crazy. I was literally like that. I literally felt this tiny little 1.5 by 1.5 inch microphone, which came from my good friend, Kristen. She gave it to me. I said, hey, I want to do a podcast. She's like, hey, I have this extra microphone. Do you want to use it? I'm like, sweet. I was expecting like a full-on XLR mic. If you don't know what XLR is, don't worry about it. But I was expecting a full-on microphone. It was a microphone. It was. It was not what I expected at all. At all. I was like, I'm going with it. Let's do this. Come on. So I want to take you back, right? That's what this is about. It's a journey. Every year. And last year we didn't do anything super duper special. The year before we did, and then COVID happened and all the plans for the year got canceled. We couldn't go to live shows. We couldn't do anything. So I want to go back. And I want to go back to about a week before. So around February 2nd, February 3rd, I talked to my wife. And at the time, my wife still is. She doesn't care. Podcast, Lego. As long as I don't step on it, she don't really care. So I said, hey, I listen to podcasts all the time. I love podcasts. I love listening to all kinds of different podcasts. And believe it or not, when I was in high school, I wanted to do broadcasting. I used to call the games for the high school that I went to in tiny little Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, right? It's like farmer fields and nothing much else. I was looking at going to I'm probably not going to remember this, the Baltimore Institute of Broadcasting Institute. I think it was BSI. Now, I said Baltimore because I always get hammered over the head. Those of us from Pennsylvania, those of us in that region say Baltimore, like there's a D in there, not a T. So anyway, I helped you. I fixed it. You're good. So I was looking at that. Now, my senior year, some of you are going to say, oh my God, you're just a baby. So I graduated in 2002 from high school. And in the school district I was in, we had a senior project. You had to do a project that was something that you may do in the future or whatever, you know, something like that, a career or something. And I've always been a giant fan of the Detroit Red Wings. I don't know why. I started watching them in like 9th grade. And every time hockey on ESPN came up, I was like fanatical about it. I'm watching it. You know, my parents are like, where's Matt? Oh, he's downstairs in the basement watching hockey, you know? And I met amazing friends through hockey. So with that, there was a game. I told my grandparents, my mama of all people, who's just turned 80 this past year. We had a VCR, but we had a VCR that didn't record. We were poor. So I said, Mama, I need you to record this hockey game at this time, whatever. So she did. And I used that for my senior project. What I was doing is broadcast, announcing, journalism, whatever you want to call it. I didn't know at the time. I had no idea. All I know is I love talking about sports. I love talking in general. Thus we are here. So the day comes, I'm doing my project. I put the VHS into the VCR and I start talking, and I have 3 teachers from the school. One of them, which was my history teacher. One was, I think, a math teacher, and the other one was like, God, I don't even remember. Anyway, so they were in the room and I start talking, and I'm acting as if it's muted, mind you. I'm acting as if I am the broadcast announcer, and I'm talking play by play through hockey. And if you've watched hockey, you know it's absolutely insane. It is constantly, you never stop talking. You're like, and the puck goes here, and it's shot. And it never stops. It never stops. So I went through that for about 3 minutes. I don't remember what the requirements were. I went through it, got a great passing grade. Anyway, and I probably should have gone and done like journalism or broadcast journalism or something like that, but it wasn't my passion. Anyway, so that is where it started. So fast forward to 2018 in February, and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, you know what? Hey, I really kind of want to do something where I talk about Lego, because I'd really gotten big into Lego in like the last, I don't know, probably year. I was buying sets off of eBay and stuff like that. Nexo Nights was just, I was fanatical about Nexo Nights. City stuff, especially fire, all kinds of different things. Things from the Rescue stuff from 98 and 99. I was buying up. I bought all of it. Stuff from my older childhood. So I came to her and I was like, I think I want to do a podcast about Lego. I love podcasting. I love Lego. And I've mentioned it in many of my shows. And if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned it in my first show. And my point here is I brought it up. And she could have been like, you're an idiot. Stop with your fantasies. You're a fool. Quit it. And she's never, ever been on my show. Probably never will be, but I'm still working it out. Still, one day, it could be 10 years from now, I'm going to have her on the show, and I'm going to have her spill her guts uncensored. So you get it all if you're still around at that point in time, and I haven't scared you off. Fully supportive. That's what you want in a partner in life, whether it be male, female, maybe a mouse, I don't know, whatever. I would love to see a mouse and a cat be happily married together. Well, maybe not married, but just happy together. I'd love to see that. Maybe it sounds like a bad Disney movie, but either way. My point is, she's like, I think you should do it. And I did. I took that 1.5 by 1.5 inch mic. I plugged it in my really crappy laptop at the time, and I started recording. And I just went and I had like the first 3 shows, and I was like, this is fun. And the second show, and I want to do it again. And then the third show. Now, I hosted my show originally on Podbean. If some of you still go to Podbean, Podbean kicks you over to Spreaker, which is where iHeartRadio is housed for their podcasting platform. So with that in mind, what I had done was basically take on the free membership of Podbean, and 3 shows in, I had already hit my limit on download space. So they were like, if you want to continue, you need to pay this much. And I'm like, So I go to her, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to keep doing this. So we paid for it. We did it. That was that part. So let's go back to episode 1 and listen to the horrible. So this is my opinion. I have had people tell me like the original is amazing. I have many podcasting friends now that I've been around for this long that run many other podcasts, and some of the big podcasting groups. I've talked to people in those. I want you to hear this, and I want you to suffer and cringe with me. We're gonna talk through this together, because I may or may not have heart failure as we go.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Legos, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and upcoming around the world of Lego. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome, 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 all of you that are here listening to this very first episode. We step into the maiden voyage of this podcast.
I just can't. I can't. I cringe, and then I laugh hysterically because I sound so dumb. I didn't know anything about editing. I had a crap microphone. I knew nothing about music fading. Everything I knew was crap. It was horrible. And everything that I taught myself from then was amazing. But the music leveling was horrible. And I have something we have to touch on about that, about, hearing music and stuff like that. The music was horrible. It was so loud, and my voice was so quiet because the microphone was such crap. It was horrible. And then I made the probably the biggest faux pas of all. Legos. Did you hear the S? Did you hear the S on the end, it was subtle. So you might have to rewind 30 seconds and go back and find it. It was there. And for me, that's like a stab in the neck, like you into my chest, cut my aorta. It was horrible to re-listen to that. And I've re-listened to it many, many times for other things. And it's just, we're going to talk about Legos. Oh, it killed me on the inside just before I really, really knew. And then I just, the welcome. It just, I know I'm stupid from time to time and really silly because that's my personality. It's not a shtick. It's not a facade. It's not a personality that I put on. I'm really goofy. I'm really stupid, and I'm really high energy, probably 95% of the day. And there are moments where I do a podcast episode. I'm like, I literally have no energy left. I have no voice left. I'm sick because, I'm a horribly immune person, but it still doesn't compare to how bad that second episode is in my mind. So let's run it back a second. So what you don't realize, and this is, again, 4 years. So we're rolling into year 5 tomorrow. I cannot believe this is happening. I literally, after that first episode, went on to Amazon and I ordered a microphone. Like a real microphone, not this little square doodad thingy that sits on a desktop and you plug into a computer through a port. No. Like full shebang. And the funny thing about it is I still use that brand of microphone to this day. I love it. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it picks up audio. But before that, oh my God, I hated it. And the journey that I had taken to this point was just intense. If you've never done a podcast, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. If you're a YouTuber, Twitcher, streamer in general, you have an idea. There's a lot of back end stuff that the final end recipient doesn't realize. And I don't want you to. I don't want you to go through that horror that is. And sometimes I put stuff out on social media and I'm like, this is what this looks like. This is how horrible it is. But with that in mind, it's been 4 years of learning, of understanding, of figuring it out, of communicating. I am still not the best communicator. My wife will tell you, I don't communicate the best out of people in general. I do a lot of the quote unquote Irish goodbye where I just slink away. Might be a text, might be an email message, might be a social media message, might be a general conversation. And when it's over, I just kind of slink away. It's what I've always done. And I don't know why. But in my 4 years, I have met some absolutely amazing people. And just a quick, I don't want to do like a rundown, something really boring. So getting myself off the ground. Episode 8 to me is still one of those episodes, and it was in multiple parts. And originally it had gotten broken. And episode 8 came out later because, again, new, still figuring things out. I had sent a message to thebrickblogger.com. The Brick Blogger is run by Anna. Anna's amazing human, amazing people, amazing earthling. She's awesome. Runs that site, moderator of that site. I think her name on there is admin. So when you see articles, it's by her when it says admin. Bunch of guest writers, people that do amazing things on there. And I had followed that for probably about a year. And then December of 2017, right before we actually had moved, I was like, I'm going to send her a message. Well, it wasn't in December. It was, I think, maybe a month after that. I sent her a message. I was like, hey, I don't know who you are really kind of thing. It's kind of one of those open message type things. And I said, hey, I'm such and such. I would love to do an interview with you. Fully expecting, nope, get out of my league. Get out. I mean, they had articles that go back like forever since the birth of time. And I literally did not expect any kind of feedback. And I got feedback. And I didn't get it from Anna. I didn't even know who Anna was. I didn't know Anna was a thing. We'll get on that. I got a message back and it said, you can have this interview type thing. And it was with Will Reed. I didn't know who Will Reed was. Who are you? I don't know anything about most of the people on the Brick Blogger. I had no idea. I'm just following things. I'm not really paying attention. I'm looking for things that pertain to me that I'm interested in, which is what you are as a Lego consumer. If you're not an in-depth Lego consumer, if you're just a generalist, you're just kind of looking at things that apply to you, that interest you. You're not looking at all the other intricate details that are out there. Set number, set pieces, or pieces on the set, difficulty, techniques, all that kind of stuff, which I'm still very fuzzy on a lot of that stuff myself. And I still remember to this day of interviewing Will for episode 8. If I'm not mistaken, it was a 3-parter. And those of you that may still not know, or maybe you do know, Will is technically legally blind. He's not blind to the point where he can't see anything, where I assume if you were somebody that's blind, in my mind, it was always like, you see black. There's nothing else there. He's not to that point, but he was gracious enough to do the interview. And he's so well-spoken and so knowledgeable and so creative for somebody that has limited sight, which is a major part of your 5 senses. It was astronomical to me. I didn't even know originally. And Will and I had gotten to create this great rapport. And I had Will on many, many times. It's been over a year that I've had Will on. And I had people say, I love when Will's on. He does some really great stuff. I've had people say, it's really not my cup of tea. Just like anything. I've had designers on where people are like, it was cool, but I didn't really like it. It didn't really work for me. Maybe you're a Star Wars fan. You want to hear from a Lego Star Wars designer and not a Ninjago designer or Speed Champions or Technic designer. So it's not for everybody. But what Will brought to the show is something very in-depth. There are many of you that I've talked to, I've done interviews with. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that many of you have brought me a different audience. Different language speaking, different region, different understanding, different ideals. NLR Creations, one of them. One of my very first interviews, and I'm still going to call him this, Mr. Ligonium. Mr. Ligonium, out of Australia. Dude has taken a Latin Lego-based approach, and it has blown up. I still follow him on Twitter. I still constantly watch and see what is going on. And I'm like, that is incredible. I didn't do that. That's the drive of him. That is the drive of him. Maybe one day in the future, I'll have him on again and we'll do a follow-up. He was episode 16. I remember that specifically because the beginning episodes are where you remember every single tiny detail. I literally remember walking around my neighborhood, walking my giant white Great Pyrenees Lab Mix, St. Bernard Mix dog in the cold, listening to that. And there was a part of the episode where I had listened back on my app. I listened back and it clicks it back. I think it's 30 seconds maybe. And I had listened to it back probably, 15 times because there was something in that interview. Now, mind you, it wasn't an interview with him speaking. It was a paper interview that I was, relaying to you. But there was something in that I just kept coming back to. I kept coming back to. And it really stuck with me. And I don't know why. But I won't forget episode 16. I won't forget episode 8. There are many other episodes, and I don't quite remember the numbers. But I remember many of you that I talked to. Like I said, NLR Creations. Captain Mutant. Captain Mutant was I think he was my first or second paper interview. Dude has a project of Stargate that is on Lego Ideas that hit 10K. 10K! He was originally trying to get it with his, I think it was Lunar Base or something like that. More like the Classic Space type deal. Couldn't get it. Classic Space, couldn't get it. You people disappoint me. No, I'm totally kidding. Stargate, found an audience. Boom, done. And it's an amazing project. I don't have him on. It's a matter of finding time because we're 7 hours apart. It's difficult. But my point is, you start and you just want to talk to people. I still want to talk to people now. My time just feels so much more limited because I feel like there's so many other things that are going on personally and then, professionally to a certain degree. But I talked to, is it Enrico, episode 98, before the machines came out for Lego where you could make mosaics. He created a program. I remember talking to my dad after that episode, and I was like, hey, I interviewed this guy, and he was like, I had a really tough, I could could barely understand the guy. I was like, why? His accent is so thick. Okay, I get it. If you're not around it, it's difficult, especially when you're Pennsylvania Dutch. All right, I get it. So my point is, it doesn't matter who you are. You can still make your mark on the world. Doesn't matter what you do or how much money you make. I'm not in this for money. I never was in this for money. Ads are there. And I started out tiny. And I found Will. And I found Mr. Lagonium. And I met so many people across the United States at different shows this year. Some that were public, some that were not. Some that were broadcast, some that were not. And I've grown as close as I allow myself to be, because I don't get real close with people, but I have allowed myself to get closer to people and hear your story. And for me, I love talking. I've met so many of you. Kaz Mockett. Kaz has probably one of the most amazing Lego cities that is not Lego City. It's beautiful. There are others that do it. There are others on YouTube. There are many others. I have a relationship with Kaz. Kaz is a great person to talk to. So knowledgeable. And she's not the only one. Not the only one at all. I met Bricks O'Brien. I had no idea I knew what Beyond the Brick was, but it was this, they're way up here and I'm way down here. I'll never be there. I'm still not there. Never. I never will be. The Hanlon brothers, I'll never be there. Appreciate everything that they do, the shows they go to, the people that they allow to come forth. But my thing is, I would have never met Dan, Between the Bricks. I would have never met Dan. April from April B. I would have never met her. Bricks O'Brien, Brian. I would have never met him. And I've spent a lot of my time. Brick and Nick. I would have never met these people. There's another, he used to be a streamer in Belgium. I'm struggling. Parky Bricks. He was one of the first streamers I started watching Lego-wise, and he doesn't do it anymore. My point is, I didn't get here by myself. I'm not growing by myself. I'm growing with you. I'm growing with artists. I'm growing with contributors. I'm growing with the help, the assistance, the aid, the knowledge from all of you. I don't know Lego colors. I'm not colorblind. I don't know Lego colors at all to save my life. If it's not white or a regular color, blue, red, purple, green, pink, I don't know. When it's something like fuchsia infused magenta, I have no idea what that color is. To me, it's a magenta on a certain day. Some days it's more of like a pinkish color. That's where I'm at. But I'm genuine. And I get messages. I get social media responses. Hey, you know what? It was this. It wasn't that. Cool. Moving forward, you taught me something I didn't know. And that's what this is to me. I'm not here like, bow before thee, I am in charge. This is a partnership. I appreciate every single one of you. You can send me a message of criticism that says, I didn't really like that. Here's why. I'm going to listen to it. Even if you send me a hate email or a message that says, you suck, quit, I'm still going to read it and say, well, I'm not going to. If it's constructive, I'm going to think about it. And I'm going to look into it and I'm going to be like, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can change this. Maybe I can do that. But I didn't get here by myself. I got here because of you. And that's what I want to get across for the 4th year anniversary. I got here because of you. I got here from all of you that have been on the show, that have collaborated, whether on the show or separate, that have listened to me voice opinions or ideas, that have listened to me complain and argue and whine and cry and moan about whatever it may be, whether it be in my personal life, whether it be Lego involved, podcast involved. I appreciate it because you made me stronger. You made the show stronger. There are nights where I have gotten onto social media. I have gotten onto Discord, and I've reached out to many of you. And you're like, shut up, go record an episode. And I do. Maybe not that night, but then the juice starts coming back. You know, Tom Jurassic. And I waited to say Tom's name because the Jurassic community is kind of in an uproar at the moment about some things with social media going on and a certain toy manufacturer just blocking things, taking down accounts, along with the help of other media as well. And I've had Tom on many times. I love talking to Tom. He's knowledgeable. He's well-spoken. And he just doesn't care. You hear the podcast. If I were to do an after dark with some of these interviewees, you'd be like, oh my God. Some of you would be like, I'm in, let's do it. And maybe that's a Patreon thing we can do. I'm not going to put it on this channel, but maybe that's a Patreon thing we can do in the future where it's like, if you want to hear the real after dark, the exclusive footage, I'll put it over here. You can go and listen to it because sometimes it gets really out there and sometimes it gets very adult, 18 plus in the word usage and in the language usage in general and the ideas behind some of that. So maybe that's something we'll explore in the future. I'd love your opinion on it. And Tom is somebody that just constantly just throws down his opinion. I mean, it's there. And I appreciate that. And I know there are probably dozens other of you that are out there. And I'm probably missing somebody. It wasn't supposed to be a shout out episode. I'm not going to cry. I told myself I wasn't going to cry. But Miss Bricks, if you don't know who Miss Bricks is, uses Lego pieces to create jewelry. Okay. We've done multiple episodes with her. I plan on having her back in the future, a touch base, tell me what's new. And she kind of partners with Chance Artworks. If you watch on Friday evenings here in the United States on Between the Bricks, where Dan has his YouTube show and I'm a part of it in April, and Jang, my God, I'll talk about Jang here in a second, and Brian and many other people, right? Rick, I think is Rick's Bricks out of New Zealand. I appreciate what she does, Miss Bricks, because she adds a special niche category to Lego, to the Lego consumer. Chance Artworks that she's partnered with, her bestie, creates amazing works. I literally had it on last week in the background and I texted her. I was like, hey, here it is. Because that means something to me. I'm not a big art person. I don't know the first thing about art. I can barely color inside the lines on a coloring book page, let alone do something like that where you take a piece of music and you create an art sculpture on top of it. No, I can't do that. And it's individually lettered, numbered. No, it's way above me. I can look at it and I'm like, oh, that is so cool. The color, the contrast, the uniquity of the spaceship, the guy, the spaceman in the spaceship. Anyway, my point is, I would have never met Miss Bricks had I not dove into the Lego realm. I consider her a great friend. When San Diego Comic-Con comes back in person, I will be there. And guess what? I'm going to go see her. We're going to be like, let's party like it's 2018. The bad microphone. But my simple point is this, and I'm going to wrap it up. I've met so many people. Racing Brick and Nick. I could go, Brick Fanatics, Blocks Magazine. I'm gonna butcher Andreas's site. Zoomgazabout. I don't know how to say it. I look at it and I cry. You have Richard down in New Zealand. You have not New Zealand, Australia. Sorry, Richard. I know you guys you're crazy about that. So many different Canadian. Thomas, who has this crazy spelling of his first and last name. I love it. From True North Bricks. There's so many of you out there. And You've inspired me. You have pushed me on my journey. And those of you that click download, or those of you that click play, or those of you that click like or follow something, or send me a great message on Facebook. I got a great message on Facebook. I think it was last week. Mind you, my internet was out for a week again because AT&T will stop. I'm glad you're back is what the message said. It hit me. I was like, oh, back the tears, because that means something to me. It means a lot to me. I don't need my butt kissed. I don't need somebody touching my head saying, there you go, good job, pat, 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 you did a lovely job today. No, I don't need that. Those of you that go out of your way and you're like, I appreciate this, I appreciate that, or that correspond on social media, that have followed me through this journey, whether you started yesterday or you started 4 years ago, I am highly appreciative of every single one of you. So with that in mind, we're going to wrap up episode 222. I sincerely hope you understand the point behind this episode and where the journey has gotten me and us to this point. Without you, I wouldn't be here. Hands down. I would not be here without you. And I am hoping that the rest of 2022 through February 9th of 2023, you are still here. And I hope that I have done something to maybe make your day better, your drive home. Maybe you're listening to it with somebody else and you're having an argument over Lego, like, you're wrong, I'm right, you stink, I'm better. Or maybe you're just listening to it as you build. I don't really care. I appreciate you here. And if I could have a giant convention where I could meet all thousands of you plus over the 4 years, I would do it so that I can meet every single one of you. It probably would take me 10 weeks, but I would love to meet and talk to every single one of you, because everybody has their own Lego journey. Everybody has their own journey in general in life. And I'm just glad you're here with me. So from the deep depths of my heart, my chordae tendineae, your heartstrings, if you don't know what that means, you pull on them every single day. I am happy you're here. I love every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for an amazing 4 years. And thank you for your continued support of this show, this podcast. And I have nothing but high hopes still moving forward, aside from being sick and bad internet. Totally kidding, of course. But with that in mind, I really greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for an amazing 4 years. Here is to year number 5. And as always, I'm your minifig ghost, Matt. Let's build on it.